My name is Ashley, and the day my life turned upside down wasn't in the kitchen, or in my bedroom, or even in a private fight at home. It happened in a courtroom under fluorescent lights, with my husband smirking across the aisle while strangers laughed at me. I sat at the plaintiff's table, hands folded, heart pounding like a war drum in my chest. The smell of old paper and stale coffee filled the room. The walls felt closer than they were, lined with people waiting to see me humiliated. He had set this stage. He wanted me crushed. My husband leaned back in his chair, dressed in an expensive charcoal suit, and looked straight at me as if daring me to speak. His lawyer whispered in his ear and he chuckled, a low, practiced laugh meant to carry. Behind him sat his fiancée. Yes, fiancée, not wife. She was younger, polished, the kind of woman who thrived in expensive shoes. She tilted her chin high, her diamond ring flashing under the lights like a weapon. The lawyer stood, voice sharp. Your Honor, my client has been burdened with supporting a woman who brings nothing to the marriage. She is, by her own admission, just a housewife. The words echoed across the courtroom. Just a housewife. They landed like knives. Some in the gallery chuckled. Even the bailiff shifted, his mouth twitching. My face burned hot, but I kept my eyes forward. My husband smirked wider, arms folded, confident he had just won the war. His fiancée leaned forward, whispering something in his ear. They laughed together. It felt rehearsed. Cruel. Mara, my attorney, leaned toward me. Steady, she whispered. Don't give them what they want. Your turn is coming. I clenched my jaw. I had spent months preparing for this moment. Nights copying bank statements, cataloging receipts, backing up emails. I had pieced together every missing dollar, every forged document, every lie he thought he had buried. He believed silence made me weak. He believed patience meant surrender. He was wrong. The judge turned to me. Mrs. Fletcher, do you wish to respond to your husband's testimony? Every head in the courtroom swiveled in my direction. The gallery leaned forward. Reporters gripped pens, cameras poised. My husband's grin stretched wider. He looked certain I had nothing. I stood slowly. My palms were dry. My breathing steady. I looked him in the eye, and I let the silence stretch until his smirk twitched. Then I lifted the folder from my table. A thick folder swollen with months of work. I placed it firmly on the judge's bench. The thud echoed through the room. Yes, Your Honor, I said, my voice calm but carrying. I have a response. I opened the folder, exposing neatly ordered files, highlighted statements, and stapled receipts. This is proof, I continued. Proof that my husband siphoned $72,000 from our accounts. Proof that he forged documents in my name. Proof that he concealed personal spending as company expenses. And I am prepared to show it page by page. The room erupted. Gasps. Shouts. Reporters scribbling furiously. My husband's lawyer jumped to his feet, shouting, "Objection!" But the judge raised her hand for silence, her eyes locked on the folder. My husband's smirk faltered. His fiancée's lips parted, color draining from her face. She looked at the ring on her finger like it had betrayed her. The judge flipped the first page, scanning quickly. Her brow furrowed. Her eyes darted to him, then back to me. Mrs. Fletcher, she said slowly, if these documents are authentic, this case is no longer what it seems. The gallery hushed, straining to hear. Reporters leaned so far forward their pens nearly touched the floor. My husband's lawyer whispered frantically, but he was too late. The judge looked back at me. Do you swear this evidence is true and accurate? I do, I said, never looking away from him. The judge's gavel cracked once. This court will recess to review these files in chambers. The bailiff gathered the folder, carrying it out. As the door closed, my husband's face turned the color of ash. For the first time in years, he looked afraid. The bailiff carried the folder out of the courtroom like it was explosive. The judge followed, her robe swishing, leaving the room buzzing. Reporters leaned to each other. People whispered my name as though I had turned into someone new. My husband shifted in his seat, pale, gripping the table so hard his knuckles whitened. His lawyer kept hissing at him to stay calm. But calm was gone. When the judge returned, the gallery snapped back to silence. She set the folder on her bench and adjusted her glasses. The court has reviewed Mrs. Fletcher's preliminary evidence. The material appears authentic. It includes detailed financial records, receipts, and documents indicating possible forgery. Gasps echoed. She turned to him. Mr. Fletcher, do you have an explanation? He rose, his voice loud, desperate. This is misrepresentation. She's twisting simple accounting. I approved company dinners, hotel stays, and expenses. This is revenge, not reality. Mara stood at once. Her calm was a weapon. Your Honor, these aren't dinners. These are weekend getaways charged to joint funds. These aren't hotels for work. These are suites booked under false vendor codes. And this, she lifted a page, is a forged insurance form increasing coverage in his favor with my client's signature. The agent confirmed it was fake. The judge narrowed her eyes. Forgery is a criminal matter. He sputtered, sweat forming on his brow. This is her obsession. She snoops, she invents, she. The judge's gavel cracked. Sit down. The gallery murmured louder. His fiancée's face flushed red. She whispered furiously at him, pulling her hand away when he tried to grip it. The ring on her finger looked heavier by the second. The judge continued. This court orders a freeze on all joint accounts effective immediately. All transfers will be halted until a forensic review is complete. The sound that left his throat wasn't words, it was a choke. His lawyer grabbed his arm, trying to keep him steady. The fiancée gasped, covering her mouth. A reporter dropped a pen that clattered across the floor. The prosecutor, who had quietly entered minutes earlier, rose. His voice carried. Your Honor, based on the documents provided, the state requests referral to the district attorney for potential charges of fraud and forgery. There is sufficient cause to proceed. The judge nodded once. Referral granted. This case may extend beyond divorce proceedings. The courtroom detonated. Reporters shouted questions. Ashley, how long have you known? Did you uncover this alone? Do you feel vindicated? I said nothing. Silence was stronger than any sound. Mara touched my arm and whispered, Hold steady. Don't feed them. The evidence speaks now. But my husband broke. He slammed a fist against the table. She's destroying me. She's nothing without me. His voice cracked into a scream. Just a housewife. The word echoed again, but this time nobody laughed. The gallery stared at him, not me. The mask was slipping in front of everyone. The judge's gavel cracked again. Enough. One more outburst and you will be removed. Reporters scribbled like mad. Cameras clicked. His fiancée leaned back, pale, no longer smiling. She looked like a woman realizing her golden future was made of paper. Court adjourned for the day, but the chaos didn't end. Outside, the steps of the courthouse swarmed with microphones. Ashley, are you pressing charges? Ashley, do you have more evidence? Ashley, is it true the money went to a mistress? Mara shielded me with her arm. No comments, she barked, guiding me through the mob. Jack, our investigator, met us at the curb. He slid into the car behind us, his laptop already open. Good news, he said, tapping the keys. I traced 2 of the transfers. They're linked to a shell company in Nevada. Same name he used on vendor invoices. It's airtight. I nodded, my jaw set. We use it. All of it. That night, when the house was finally quiet, I tucked my daughter into bed at Danielle's place. She was safe. I returned home alone. The silence felt heavier than any noise. His toothbrush still stood by the sink. His jacket still hung by the door. For a moment, the life we had built seemed like a stage set waiting to collapse. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You should not have opened that folder. Some things are better left hidden. My blood ran cold. I saved the message, sent it straight to Jack. Minutes later, he called back. Ashley, that number's routed through multiple burners. Whoever sent it knows how to cover tracks. But they're watching you. Stay careful. I didn't sleep. Every creak in the house made me flinch. 3 a.m. Another message came. This time an email. No subject. Just an attachment. I opened it. Photographs. My husband in a bar, shaking hands with a man whose face was shadowed. An envelope slid across the table. Another photo. Him at a hotel desk with a woman I didn't recognize. A third. A ledger, numbers scrawled, matching the exact amounts I had tracked. At the bottom of the email, a single line of text. Push further and we burn everything. Choose wisely. I sat in the glow of the screen, my heart pounding, my mind racing. Someone else was pulling strings. Someone bigger. And I realized then this wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about survival. By morning I was done being afraid. The threats, the late-night emails, the shadows, none of it mattered. If I stopped now, I would be exactly what he called me. Just a housewife. I wasn't stopping. Mara met me at her office early. The blinds were half drawn. Files spread across the table like a battlefield map. Jack was already there, 2 laptops open, his eyes bloodshot from working all night. Danielle arrived carrying coffee, and that look she always wore when she was ready for war. Jack pointed at the screen. The photos sent to you line up with the transactions. Timestamps match the withdrawals from your joint account. Whoever sent them wanted you scared, but they accidentally gave us more proof. Accidentally? I asked. He shrugged. Or they want him burned. Either way it helps you. Mara slid a folder across to me. We need to move methodically. First, we lock the evidence chain. Every document, every photograph logged, notarized, filed with independent witnesses. Second, we gather corroboration. That means hotel staff, waiters, even bartenders. Anyone who saw him where he shouldn't have been. I opened the folder. Inside were affidavits. Witness statements. People who had quietly agreed to testify. A hotel clerk who remembered him checking in with a woman under a fake name. A bartender who saw him slide an envelope across the table. A neighbor who noticed late-night deliveries to our house when I was out of town. Danielle folded her arms. He counted on you being too quiet. But you weren't. You noticed. You collected. That's what scares him. I nodded, flipping through the papers. Each page was a nail in his coffin. Jack tapped his keyboard, pulling up an audio file. Listen to this. Recovered from a backup drive he thought he deleted. The courtroom fell away as I heard his voice, clear as day. She doesn't need to know. I coded it as vendor payments. By the time she sees, the money will be gone. My chest tightened. Proof. Hard proof. Mara leaned forward. We bring this into court at the right moment. Not too early, or they'll scramble to spin it. Not too late, or it loses punch. Timing is everything. Danielle frowned. What about the threats? Mara's jaw tightened. We don't blink. We double our security. Jack will set up encrypted lines. Ashley, you keep your phone on you at all times. And your daughter stays with Danielle until this is finished. I hated the thought of my little girl away from me, but I knew Mara was right. Jack turned the laptop again. There's more. Look. On the screen was a scanned ledger. Handwritten. The same one from the anonymous email. Jack zoomed in. This matches the financial reports from his company. Except the numbers don't align. He was skimming off vendor contracts. $72,000 is just what hit your account. I think the real amount is higher. The air in the room grew heavier. Mara's eyes sharpened. If we can prove that, it's not just divorce. It's fraud against his employer. That's prison time. I sat back, the weight of it pressing down. He hadn't just betrayed me. He had built a life of lies. Every dinner, every trip, every polished suit was paid for with stolen money. Danielle slammed her palm against the table. Then we show them. All of it. But before we could plan further, Jack's phone buzzed. He frowned, answered, and put it on speaker. A male voice crackled through. Low, calm, deliberate. You don't know who you're dealing with, the voice said. Drop the evidence or you'll regret it. She will regret it. The line went dead. Danielle's face drained. They know we're together. They know we're building this. Jack muttered a curse, fingers flying across the keyboard, tracing the call. Blocked through 3 layers. Whoever this is, they're tied to him. And they're watching. Mara leaned back in her chair. Her tone was iron. Then we don't wait. We move faster. We file the affidavits tomorrow. We submit the recordings to the judge. And we prepare the photographs for open court. I clenched my fists. Let them threaten. I won't stop. He wanted me invisible. Instead, I'll make sure the world sees exactly who he is. The room went quiet for a moment, the weight of the decision settling on us. Jack finally broke the silence. Then it's decided. Tomorrow we show the court that 72,000 is just the beginning. The next morning as I walked toward the courthouse steps with Mara and Jack, a car slowed at the curb. The window rolled down. Inside, a man I had never seen stared straight at me, expression blank, camera in his hand. He took a photo, then drove away without a word. Jack's face tightened. "Ashley," he said softly, "that's the same man listed as your husband's partner in the offshore filings." The courthouse steps were swarming with reporters again. The questions came like bullets. "Ashley, is it true your husband forged documents? Ashley, who is protecting you now? Ashley, what about his fiancée?" I kept my head down, letting Mara cut through the noise. Jack walked behind us, scanning faces like a bodyguard, his laptop bag slung across his shoulder. Inside, the air was colder. The gallery filled quickly, every seat taken. The judge had ordered new restrictions. No phones, no recordings, only authorized reporters. Still, whispers carried across the benches. My name was everywhere. Mara leaned in. "We've got backup now. 3 affidavits sworn overnight. 2 hotel clerks and 1 accountant who flagged his reimbursements as suspicious months ago." Jack opened his laptop, showing the signed statements. "The accountant told me off the record that he was pressured to stay quiet. Your husband threatened him with termination. He kept copies anyway. Smart man." My chest tightened. "And he's willing to testify?" Jack nodded. "Under oath. He wants out from under it. He's angry." Mara's eyes lit up. "That makes 4 allies, me, Jack, Danielle, and now him. Add the hotel clerks and bartender, and we have a lineup that no jury could ignore. The fiancée will see it too. When her perfect life collapses, she'll flip on him." I thought of her face the last time, how pale she had gone when the judge froze the accounts, how she pulled her hand away when he reached for it. She thought she was marrying into security. Instead, she had tied herself to a sinking ship. Danielle entered quietly, slipping into the seat beside me. She gave me a nod, then leaned closer. "Your daughter is safe. Promise. She's with my sister today. Locked house, cameras, everything. Don't worry." Relief coursed through me, even as fear pressed harder. "Thank you," I whispered. The judge entered and silence dropped like a curtain. "We are here to review additional evidence. Mrs. Fletcher, your counsel may proceed." Mara stood, crisp and controlled. "Your Honor, we submit new affidavits. Testimony from hotel staff who identified Mr. Fletcher checking in under false names, and an accountant who confirms irregular reimbursements connected to falsified vendor invoices. These match the documents already presented." Gasps filled the gallery. The fiancée leaned forward, her lips parting. She stared at him like she was seeing him for the first time. His lawyer jumped up. "This is irrelevant. These witnesses are biased. They are grasping at straws." Mara cut him off. "They are sworn under oath. Their accounts align with financial records. They are not straws. They are rope, and your client is hanging himself with it." The judge's eyes darkened. "Proceed." Jack slid a USB drive forward. The bailiff collected it and loaded it onto the court system. A recording played. My husband's voice filled the room, low but clear. I coded it to vendor. "By the time she looks, the money's gone." The gallery erupted. His fiancée covered her mouth. The judge banged the gavel, shouting for order. My husband stood, red-faced, pointing at me. "She's lying. She set me up. She." "Sit down," the judge barked. He obeyed, shoulders slumping, sweat shining under the lights. For the first time, the power was visibly shifting. The people in the room no longer looked at me as a victim. They looked at me as someone holding the truth. But the threat still clung to me like smoke. I could feel unseen eyes watching. When court adjourned, Mara leaned close. "We need more protection. Jack will tighten digital security. Danielle will cover your daughter. But you, Ashley, you can't be alone." I exhaled slowly. "Then who?" Jack closed his laptop with a snap. "I have someone. A retired federal investigator. Owes me a favor. If he's in, no one gets near you without him noticing." Danielle grinned grimly. "That's what we need. If your husband's friends want to scare you, let's see how they feel being watched themselves." That evening we met him. His name was Carter. Former investigator, broad shoulders, a face carved from stone. He shook my hand once, firm grip, eyes scanning the street even as he spoke. "If you're in this fight, you don't get to blink," he said. "But I don't blink either. You'll be safe. Your daughter will be safe. Let me do my job." I believed him. Back at Mara's office, Carter stood by the door while we worked. Jack built digital firewalls. Danielle checked locks on every window. Mara plotted the timing of our next strike. It was war and we were finally on the offensive. But when Jack's phone buzzed again, his expression changed. He turned the screen toward us. An email. No subject. Inside was a single photograph. Me walking into the courthouse that morning. The image was sharp. Too sharp. It wasn't taken from across the street, it was from inside the building. Carter stepped forward, jaw tight. This wasn't random. Someone in that courthouse is feeding him. You're not just fighting your husband, Ashley. You're fighting someone on the inside. We met before dawn. The city was gray and empty. The courthouse steps looked smaller in the morning. Inside Mara's office the blinds were drawn. Files lay in neat stacks. The air smelled like strong coffee and paint. We had a plan to make. It had to be precise. Mara sat at the head of the table like a general. Jack spread maps and spreadsheets across the wood. Danielle kept watch by the window. Carter stood by the door, arms folded. I sat with my folder on my lap, fingers curled around the edge. My heart beat steady. I felt ready. Mara spoke first. Her voice was short and direct. We split this into 4 moves. Legal, forensic, public, protective. Each supports the next. We do them in sequence. No leaks. No surprises from our side. Jack tapped the screen. Legal first. We file an emergency motion for asset seizure and criminal referral. We attach the receipts, the hotel logs, the audio file, and sworn affidavits from witnesses. We force a judge to look at the ledger and the transfers. We ask for pretrial preservation orders so he cannot move any accounts. Mara nodded. We also file a motion to admit the photographs and the authenticated metadata. We do not dump everything at once. We stage the release. The receipts first. Then the recordings. Then the photographs. Each step isolates his denials until he has no place left to hide. Carter added, "Timing is everything. We coordinate filings with the DA. We give the press a narrow window to prepare. We time the exposure when his firm is least able to respond. When his board is in session, when his PR is offline. It hurts them the most." Danielle leaned in. "And the fiancée? Do we tell her first? She could help, she might cut him off or she might double down. Either way it changes the optics." Her voice trembled on the last word. She wanted him to fall. She also feared collateral damage. Mara's eyes were cold. "We do not rely on her. She is a variable. We focus on evidence. If she flips, good. If she defends him, fine. The public will judge her choice and not you." Jack brought up the ledger map. The money trail runs through 3 entities. Nevada Shell, a consulting firm in Delaware, a small LLC linked to his partner. If we link the withdrawals to the Shell, and the Shell to his partner, we have conspiracy. We present the paper trail in a straight line. We have the bank stamps. We have the timestamps. Forensics will verify the metadata. I set the folder on the table. What about the anonymous threats? The texts? The photos from inside the courthouse? They came from someone with access. They can leak anything. We need to stop that. Carter's face did not change. We already took steps. I placed surveillance on the clerk's entrance. I asked for access logs. We planted a tracker on the envelope you handed the judge. I also placed clean devices offsite with verified copies. If someone tampers, we will have evidence of tampering. If someone in the courthouse is helping him, we will find who. Mara nodded. Good. Forensics second. We take every device. We make cryptographic hashes. We notarize the chain of custody in front of an officer. No cloud. No uploads. Every backup is verified by 2 independent labs. We document handoffs. If they claim tampering, we show the unbroken chain. Jack pushed another slide. Public third. We prepare a press packet with a clear timeline, a short statement, and the authenticated documents. No smear. No theatricality. We choose 3 outlets with strong integrity. They go live as soon as the judge signs the asset seizure order. That way we control narrative before his team can plant doubt. Danielle piped up. You said protective fourth. What about the threats? Carter answered. Protective means physical and digital. I put a detail on your home. Surveillance cameras replaced. We shadow known associates. Jack covers digital endpoints. Mara gets emergency restraining orders ready. We will coordinate with local law enforcement. If anyone tries to intimidate you, they will be watched. If they escalate, they get arrested. Mara's pen moved. She filled a sheet with dates and deadlines. We file the seizure motion today. We demand emergency preservation of all records. We subpoena the bank records and the corporate filings. We ask the judge for a hearing within 48 hours. We bring witnesses to court. We bring the audio. We have an expert on digital forensics ready to testify about metadata authenticity. I tried to keep my voice even. If we move that fast, he might file counter motions. He will try to block the photographs or claim chain of custody breaches. He will drag the case into delay. Mara's smile was thin. Let him. We are ready. We preemptively file a motion to quash frivolous suppression attempts. We also file a notice with the DA asking for expedited review. We will make it politically and legally dangerous to stall. Jack clicked again. One more tactical point. We release the first packet to a reporter we trust under embargo. They will have the materials but will not publish until we give the word. The benefit. If he tries to flood the web with fake claims, the reporter can immediately counter with the original documents. Danielle let out a breath. And the fiancée? What do we do if she sues you for defamation or privacy invasion? Mara shrugged. She won't. Not if the documents are airtight. If she tries, her counsel will be forced to defend his actions. Either way, she loses. The truth corrodes loyalty when the house of cards falls. We set the timetable. The motion went in before noon. The DA received a packet by courier. Carter coordinated with an off-duty marshal to sit outside the evidence room. Jack sent encrypted copies to the forensics lab. Danielle went to pick up my daughter after school. I signed affidavits under Mara's watchful eye. As noon approached, Mara closed the file. She looked at me. This may get messy. He will fight with everything he has. He will use his network. But we are not waiting. We strike. We let the court and the DA do their work. We control the flow. Jack's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his brow tightened. He tapped the message and frowned. Then he read it out loud. The bank just flagged a transfer. $25,000 moved out of an associated account this morning. It cleared 2 hours ago. The table went quiet. Danielle's hand left mine. Carter straightened like a gun cocking. Mara's eyes hardened. They are moving money. Who did the transfer? Jack scrolled. A shell account linked to his partner. It routed funds through an intermediary and then to 2 foreign accounts. The bank froze some of it at the request of compliance, but some cleared before the flag. My pulse spiked. The careful plan was colliding with a running target. They had seen the legal motion and acted. Carter stood and grabbed his coat. Then we chase it. Jack, get the trace. Mara, move for immediate injunctive relief to freeze anything linked to those accounts. Danielle, get my phone number to Ashley. If anything happens, call me first. I felt the cold tip of panic. Then I steadied. We move now, I said. We do not let them vanish what they stole. We expose every transfer. Mara rose, voice controlled and sharp. We file supplemental emergency affidavits. We notify the DA of the new transfer. We request an immediate asset freeze on every linked account. And we make the bank produce a full audit trail. Jack's fingers flew across the keyboard. Carter called a contact at the bank. Danielle packed a bag for my daughter just in case. The team snapped into action. We were no longer only reacting. We were hunting. As Jack hit send on the subpoena, his phone rang. He answered without looking. His face went white. He pressed the phone against his shoulder and mouthed one word to us. They. He hung up, eyes on the table. They just served our lab with a preservation order. Filed by counsel for Mr. Fletcher. It names our forensics lab, orders them to preserve evidence, and demands immediate custody of the original files. He swallowed. They are trying to seize our copies. The news hit like a brick through glass. Mara snatched the phone from Jack's hand, scanning the order. Her eyes narrowed. Filed this morning. Stamped with the judge's signature. They want to take control of our originals. If they succeed, they'll bury everything. Jack shook his head. The timing is too perfect. They knew exactly when to file. Someone tipped them off about our plan. Carter leaned on the table, his jaw tight. They've got an insider. I told you. This order didn't come from thin air. It came from someone feeding them information. Danielle's voice cracked. If they get the originals, it's over. They'll tamper, twist, and make it look like we forged everything. Mara didn't flinch. Then we don't let them. Jack, file a countermotion to block immediate transfer. Carter, get us to the courthouse now. We need to put this in front of the judge before his team walks away with our evidence. I stood, my knees unsteady but my voice sharp. Let's move. The ride to the courthouse felt endless. Carter drove fast, weaving through traffic with the precision of someone who had done it for years. Jack's laptop glowed in the back seat as his fingers blurred across the keys. Danielle sat beside me, clutching her phone, whispering prayers under her breath. Mara sat rigid, rehearsing arguments aloud like bullets in a magazine. We screeched to a halt at the courthouse steps. Carter scanned the street before ushering us in. Reporters surged, but Mara cut through, her heels striking hard. Inside, the clerk at the evidence room stood stiff, a file already in his hand. We've received a preservation order, he said quickly. We're preparing to release the originals to opposing counsel. No, Mara snapped. She shoved our emergency filing forward. Counter motion. Effective immediately. This evidence is material to ongoing criminal investigation. Any removal risks spoliation. The DA has already been notified. The clerk hesitated. Sweat rolled down his temple. I can't decide that. Then get the judge, Mara said coldly. Now. Minutes later, we were in chambers. The judge's eyes were sharp as knives. She scanned both filings, one from his team, one from Mara. My husband's attorney was already there, smirking, arms folded, as though victory was certain. Your Honor, he said smoothly, we only request preservation and custody. These so-called files are unreliable in their current state. For fairness, they must be secured by neutral custody. Mara's tone cut like glass. Neutral custody is one thing. Immediate transfer to the very party accused of forgery is another. These originals were authenticated, notarized, and logged under chain of custody. Any change now risks destruction of evidence. That is obstruction, not preservation. The judge leaned back, silent for a long moment. The air in the room grew heavy. My husband's attorney smiled faintly, as if he already knew the answer. Finally, the judge spoke. Until I review these motions fully, no transfer will occur. The originals will remain sealed under court order. Neither party touches them until further ruling. Mara exhaled. Jack sagged in his chair. Relief rippled through me, but it was thin, fragile. The attorney scowled. This delays justice. My client is being painted as a criminal without proper review. The judge's gaze was ice. Your client should have considered that before $72,000 vanished. I will hear full arguments tomorrow morning. Court adjourned. But the fight wasn't over. On the courthouse steps, reporters swarmed again. Microphones flashed. Ashley, did you block evidence transfer? Ashley, are you hiding something? I said nothing, walking fast, Carter forming a shield around me. But then a voice cut through the noise. A woman's voice, sharp and clear. Ask her about the offshore account, the woman shouted. Heads turned. Cameras spun toward her. She wore dark glasses, her hair tied back, a trench coat pulled tight. I didn't recognize her, but she seemed to know me. Mara stiffened. Jack muttered. Who the hell is that? The woman disappeared into the crowd before anyone could stop her. The words lingered, echoing louder than the cameras. The offshore account. Back at Mara's office, Jack pulled up records, typing furiously. She wasn't bluffing. There's another account. Not in Nevada. Not in Delaware. Offshore. Cayman Islands. Danielle's face went pale. How much? Jack swallowed. Double. At least double. Maybe more. This isn't 72,000. It's closer to 150. The room went silent. My pulse thundered. Carter shut his phone with a snap. His voice was flat. That woman wasn't random. She was warning us or baiting us. Either way, Ashley, your husband isn't the only one we're up against. The offshore account changes everything. The courtroom was packed tighter than ever. Reporters filled every seat. Cameras lined the back wall. And the air buzzed like a live wire. Everyone knew today was different. Today wasn't about motions or filings. Today was about exposure. I sat at the plaintiff's table, my folder in front of me. Mara leaned close. Stay steady. We're dropping the hammer now. He won't walk out of this the same man. Jack sat behind us, laptop glowing, ready to project exhibits on the courtroom screens. Danielle sat 2 rows back, my daughter safe with her sister. Carter stood at the rear like a shadow, eyes scanning every corner. The bailiff called order. The judge entered, firm and unsmiling. This court resumes. Mrs. Fletcher, your counsel may present. Mara stood, her voice steady. Your Honor, today we present authenticated exhibits, affidavits, and recordings that establish not only fraud and forgery, but concealment of offshore assets. We ask the court to admit this evidence in full. Gasps rippled through the gallery. Offshore assets. The words themselves were dynamite. His lawyer jumped up immediately. Objection. This is speculative. Overruled, the judge said flatly. Proceed. Jack tapped the keyboard. The first image filled the screens. A bank statement, highlighted in yellow. Mara's voice rang out. $72,000 siphoned through a Nevada shell. The vendor name was fake. The account number matches Mr. Fletcher's personal files. Authenticated by 2 independent labs. My husband shifted in his chair, sweat beading on his forehead. His fiancée clutched her bag tighter. Next slide. A ledger, handwritten, numbers scrawled. Mara pointed with a laser pen. The ledger recovered from his laptop aligns with those withdrawals. This is his handwriting. The same ledger appears in photographs supplied anonymously, but confirmed by metadata. Gasps again. Reporters scribbled furiously. Then came the recording. His voice filled the speakers. She doesn't need to know. I coded it as vendor. By the time she looks, the money's gone. The gallery erupted. His fiancée's face went pale. She shook her head slowly, disbelief giving way to horror. She turned to him, whispering sharp words no one else could hear. Mara's tone sharpened. And now the offshore account. Jack projected another document. A Cayman Islands bank statement. The highlighted balance. $150,000. Mara's words cut like a blade. This account was traced through his partner. It contains funds consistent with additional skimming beyond the $72,000 already established. Combined, we are looking at fraud exceeding $200,000. The courtroom exploded in noise. Reporters shouted over each other. The judge's gavel slammed repeatedly. Order! Order! My husband sprang to his feet. His voice cracked into a shout. This is lies. She planted it. She hacked my accounts. She. Sit down, Mr. Fletcher, the judge barked. But he didn't sit. He turned on his fiancée, his voice wild. You told them. You betrayed me. She recoiled, standing, shaking her head. I didn't know anything about this. You lied to me. Her voice cracked, loud enough for the gallery to hear. You promised me it was over. You said she was weak. Every camera in the room caught it. The judge banged the gavel again. Remove this man if he cannot remain silent. 2 deputies moved toward him. He slumped back into his chair, face red, tie askew, eyes darting like a trapped animal. The fiancée pulled off her engagement ring and set it on the table with a sharp clink before storming out. The gallery gasped again. Reporters scribbled as though their hands were on fire. Mara turned back to the judge, calm as stone. Your Honor, the evidence speaks for itself. Fraud. Forgery. Concealment. Perjury. We request immediate referral for criminal charges and full asset seizure. The judge's gaze was heavy. She looked from Mara to my husband, then down at the exhibits. Silence stretched. Then she spoke. This court will recess for 30 minutes while I review the full materials. Deputies, secure the evidence. The gavel cracked. Court adjourned. I exhaled, feeling the weight of months lift, but it wasn't over. Mara touched my arm. This is the turning point. He can't recover from this. But Ashley, her eyes sharpened. Don't let your guard down. The threats won't stop here. If he's desperate, he'll do something reckless. As we left the bench, Carter's phone buzzed. He answered, his face darkening. He pocketed it and stepped close to me, his voice low. That wasn't just a warning call, he said. Someone's been following your daughter's school bus. 2 days in a row. My knees buckled. The courtroom noise faded into static. I realized the battle wasn't just about money anymore. It was about safety. My daughter's safety. And I knew then this war had only just begun. The courthouse doors burst open, and the crowd outside surged forward like a tide. Reporters pressed microphones inches from my face, shouting over one another. Ashley, what happens next? Ashley, do you feel vindicated? Ashley, are you afraid for your daughter? Carter pushed them back, his hand firm on my shoulder as he guided me through. Mara barked. No comments. Jack walked close behind, clutching his laptop like it was gold. Danielle was pale, her phone in her hand, her eyes darting. The air outside was chaos. Flashing cameras, shouted questions, car horns. My husband had been escorted out the back under deputy guard. His head lowered. But the damage was done. His fiancée was gone. The press had her throwing the ring caught on 10 different angles. By evening it would be viral. We squeezed into the car. Carter drove us away fast, weaving through traffic. My pulse hammered in my throat. I could still hear the words he had shouted at me in court, just a housewife. Now the world had heard his lies unravel. But the relief didn't last. Jack's phone buzzed again. He frowned, tapped the screen, and swore under his breath. Another leak. Someone inside the court uploaded sealed exhibits. They're on 2 gossip blogs already. Photographs of the Cayman account, the ledger, all of it. Mara's head snapped toward him. That was sealed. That's contempt. Find the leak. I'm trying, Jack muttered, fingers flying. The upload routed through a courthouse Wi-Fi node. That means someone with access. Danielle gripped my arm. Ashley, they're trying to twist this. They'll say you hacked it. They'll say you planted evidence. I closed my eyes for a moment, breathing deep. Then we stay ahead. We prove chain of custody again and again. We don't give them oxygen. Carter's phone buzzed. He answered, his tone clipped. Yes. Copy that. He hung up, jaw tight. Your daughter's bus was followed again this afternoon. A black sedan. Same as yesterday. This time they pulled up close enough for the driver to take a photo. We got plates. My stomach dropped. And registered to his partner. The same one tied to the offshore account. The car fell silent. Mara whispered. He's trying to rattle you. He's showing you he can reach your family. Danielle's voice shook. Then we move your daughter. Tonight. Carter nodded. I'll handle it. She won't be touched. We reached Mara's office. Inside, the lights were dim, the windows covered. Jack connected to a secure line, screens lighting the room. I've traced the leaks, he said. One came from a clerk. He's been in your husband's pocket for months. We've got emails tying him to small payments, cash deposits every Friday. He's feeding them every motion you file. Mara's face hardened. Then we file for sanctions. The judge won't ignore this. Jack added. But there's more. Look. He projected a new document. An unsigned contract, buried in the ledger. It listed names, payments, dates. It wasn't just about money anymore. It was a map of payoffs, lawyers, accountants, even a police officer's name. Danielle gasped. He bought people. He's been covering himself with bribes. My hands clenched into fists. Rage burned hot in my chest. Then we burn it all. Every name. Every bribe. If he thought he could bury me with silence, I'll bury him with the truth. Mara nodded. We'll package this for the DA tonight. First thing tomorrow it hits the court. No delays. No leaks. We'll submit it directly to the judge. But Carter was still standing by the window, tense. He hadn't moved since Jack showed the contract. His voice was low, sharp. You don't understand. If those names are right, he's not just a fraud. He's got protection. He's not fighting this alone. You go public with that list and you won't just bring him down, you'll bring down people with power to crush you. The room went still. Jack whispered. Then what do we do? Mara looked at me, her eyes steady. Ashley, it's your call. Do we expose everything now? Or do we hold until we're ready to protect you from the fallout? Before I could answer, Carter's phone lit again. He glanced at the screen, his jaw tightening. He turned it around so we all could see. A live photo feed. My daughter standing outside Danielle's sister's house, backpack on her shoulders, waving goodbye. The message below it was only 4 words. Decide carefully or else. The night blurred into fragments. Shadows on windows, Carter pacing with his phone in hand, Jack typing until his fingers cramped, Mara flipping through motions again and again. Danielle sat beside me, gripping my hand so tight it hurt. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the photograph of my daughter with that message under it. Decide carefully or else. At sunrise, Carter moved her. 2 unmarked cars, 3 trusted officers, a safe address. He came back just before 8 a.m. His face unreadable. She's secure, he said simply. I wanted to believe him, but fear still coiled in my gut. By 9 we were back in court. The gallery was packed tighter than ever, reporters elbowing for space. The judge looked sharper, her patience thinner. Mara filed the motion with the new documents, the unsigned contract, the list of names, the bribes. She placed it on the bench like a weapon. His lawyer rose instantly. Your Honor, this is a stunt. None of these names are relevant. None of this has been authenticated. My client is the victim of a witch hunt. Mara's tone cut like glass. These names are tied to bank deposits. Each line matches cash movements on the same dates. The handwriting matches your client's. Authentication is already underway. The judge's gaze moved from Mara to my husband. Mr. Fletcher, did you author these records? He shifted in his seat, jaw tight, eyes darting. I don't recall. The gallery hissed, reporters scribbling. His fiancée, ex-fiancée now, was absent. Her silence spoke louder than her presence. Jack tapped a key. A new slide filled the courtroom screens, side-by-side images of his ledger and the Cayman statement. The numbers lined up like dominoes. Mara's voice rose. This is not imagination. This is fraud, concealment, and conspiracy. And these new names prove he did not act alone. The judge raised a hand. Enough. I will order a forensic review of these documents immediately. If the names listed are confirmed, this extends far beyond divorce proceedings. This court will not shield criminal conduct. The gavel cracked. The sound rattled through me like thunder. Outside, the press swarmed again. Carter shoved microphones away, his eyes scanning every face. Mara held her chin high, guiding us through. But the questions were sharper now. Ashley, are you afraid for your life? Ashley, who else is involved? Ashley, do you know about the offshore partners? By the time we reached the car, my chest was tight. Carter drove us away fast, every turn calculated. Mara sat silently, her mind racing. Jack stared at his screen, muttering to himself. Danielle clutched my hand, whispering, almost there. Almost. But it didn't feel like almost. It felt like the beginning of something darker. Back at Mara's office, Jack slammed his laptop shut. We've been hacked, he said, his voice hard. Not just monitored. Breached. They cloned my drives. They know what we know. Carter cursed under his breath. That explains the leak. They've got someone on the inside and someone on the outside. They're squeezing us from both ends. Danielle's face went white. Then we can't win. They're too deep. I stood, my voice shaking but loud. No. We can win. But we stop waiting for them to strike. We strike first. Mara looked at me, her expression unreadable. What do you propose? Release it, I said. All of it. The Cayman account. The ledger. The bribes. Every name. If they want to play in the shadows, we drag them into the light. Silence fell. Even Carter paused his pacing. Mara finally spoke. Ashley, if we do that, you make enemies with power. They won't just come for him, they'll come for you. I know, I said. But if we don't, they'll keep threatening my daughter. They'll keep trying to bury us. The only way to end this is to burn every bridge they're hiding behind. Jack nodded slowly. If we release it, it can't be stopped. It'll spread too fast to contain. But once it's out, there's no taking it back. Danielle's eyes brimmed with tears. Are you sure? Once you light that fire, it won't go out. I clenched my fists. I'm sure. I'm not just a housewife. I'm the one who ends this. Mara closed her folder with a snap. Then it's settled. Tonight we prepare the full release. Tomorrow morning it goes public. Carter's phone buzzed again. He glanced at the screen, his face hardening. He turned it toward me. Another photograph. My daughter, inside what should have been the safe house, sitting at a kitchen table with crayons. The message below chilled me to the bone. There is no safe house. I didn't sleep that night. None of us did. Carter paced like a caged lion, phone in hand, every muscle taut. Jack typed for hours, encrypting files, setting up servers, building a release pipeline that couldn't be stopped. Mara rewrote our motion again and again until it was perfect. Danielle sat beside me, whispering prayers, her hand tight around mine. And me? I stared at the photograph of my daughter inside the safe house that wasn't safe at all. My chest ached, but my resolve hardened. They wanted me scared. They wanted me silent. Instead, they gave me fire. By dawn, the plan was set. At 8 a.m., Mara and I walked back into the courthouse, flanked by Carter and Jack. Reporters swarmed, shouting, but Mara's voice cut above the chaos. Stand by for a statement. Inside, the judge looked weary but firm. The gavel cracked once. Proceed. Mara stood tall. Your Honor, opposing counsel has sought to suppress evidence. They have hacked, threatened, and tampered. But the truth does not hide. Today we submit authenticated files, notarized affidavits, and forensic confirmations. We also provide sealed backup copies to the district attorney. And Your Honor, she raised a USB drive. We have also released the entire set to multiple news outlets and watchdog groups. The truth is already public. Gasps erupted. Reporters at the back tapped their phones, their faces lighting with notifications. The leak was live. Jack's laptop connected to the screens. One by one, the documents filled the monitors. The Cayman account. The ledger. The bribes. The audio recordings. The photographs. And then, his signature on forged forms. My husband's face drained of color. He shoved his chair back, sputtering. This is fraud. She's lying. You can't. The judge's gavel cracked again. Enough. Sit down or you will be removed. His fiancée had returned, sitting stiff 2 rows back. She stared at the screens, her hand covering her mouth. Then slowly she stood. Her voice carried. I confirm it. He told me. He said the money was hidden. He said no one would ever find it. The gallery gasped louder. Cameras flashed. She dropped her engagement ring into the aisle and walked out without another word. The judge's voice boomed. This court refers the matter to the district attorney for immediate criminal investigation. All known assets are frozen. Custody motions are suspended. Mr. Fletcher, you are now under investigation for fraud, forgery, and perjury. Deputies moved toward him. He struggled, shouting, Ashley, you'll regret this. You'll. But the words vanished as handcuffs closed around his wrists. The image was burned into every camera in that room. Outside, the world exploded. Headlines blared. Housewife exposes $200,000 fraud. Courtroom meltdown goes viral. Fiancé testifies against groom-to-be. For the first time in months, I breathed. Deep, steady, free. That night, I sat with my daughter. She colored at the kitchen table, safe this time. Carter stayed on guard outside. Danielle laughed with her, Jack monitored the feeds. Mara poured herself a rare glass of wine. The storm wasn't over. There would be trials, appeals, fallout. But the truth was out. He couldn't erase it. I kissed my daughter's forehead. It's over now, I whispered. But it wasn't just over for me. It was a lesson. So here's what I want you to hear. Yes, you, the one listening to my story right now. Never let anyone tell you silence is weakness. Never let anyone convince you patience is surrender. I was called just a housewife. He thought I had nothing. But I had persistence, I had proof, and I had people who stood beside me. And with those, I burned down his lies. He lost his money. He lost his fiancée. He lost his freedom. And me? I gained mine. If you've ever been underestimated, remember this: truth is heavier than lies. And when the moment comes, you don't whisper it. You drop it like thunder.